Behind the perfect smiles, behind the image of a model duchess, lies an unease Kate has never revealed. When Queen Elizabeth II passed away, she left not only the throne, but also a secret for Kate, a letter that could turn everything upside down. Camilla steps forward with the title of Queen Consort, but is that crown truly meant for her? In Kate's heart now only one question remains. Does she have the courage to protect the Queen's legacy, or will she be consumed by the intrigues behind the palace gates? A light drizzle falls over the lush green fields surrounding Anmer Hall, where Kate and her family seek a small corner of peace amidst the storm of the outside world. The ancient house, with its ivy-covered walls and gray-tiled roof, stands like a small fortress, shielding them from prying eyes and the relentless headlines. Just a few weeks ago, all of England was engulfed in grief when Queen Elizabeth II passed away. Her funeral, a solemn and tearful event, marked the end of an era. Now Kate feels as though the entire kingdom is holding its breath, waiting for something, a change, a sign, or perhaps a crack. In the cozy living room of Anmer Hall, Kate sits in an armchair, her gaze drifting out the window. Outside, George and Charlotte are running across the lawn, their bright laughter mingling with the sound of the wind. Louis, the youngest, is busy stacking wooden blocks on the rug, humming a childish tune. William, in his familiar green sweater, is brewing tea in the kitchen, the faint whistle of the kettle, a soft backdrop to this moment of simplicity. Kate clutches a cold teacup in her hands, her mind racing. How long can this peace last? She can't shake the sense of unease. The Queen's funeral left a void not only in the hearts of the public, but within the royal family itself. In recent days, the media has been relentless, focusing on Camilla, now Queen Consort, a title not everyone is ready to embrace. Major newspapers like The Times and The Guardian dissect her every move, from her public appearances to the tone of her speeches. Public opinion is divided. Some praise Camilla's patience and dedication, while others cannot forget the scandals of the past, the scars of royal history that have never truly healed. Kate shakes her head, trying to push those thoughts aside. She doesn't want the headlines or the whispers on social media to infiltrate the peaceful space she and William have worked so hard to create. Anmer Hall is where they are parents, a husband and wife, not characters in a royal drama. But even here, within these familiar walls, she feels the weight of the crown, though it has not yet been placed on her head. Kate, you? Okay, William steps into the room holding 2 steaming cups of tea, the warmth rising in whiffs. He sets one in front of her, his gentle eyes betraying a hint of concern. He knows her too well enough to sense the undercurrents of worry she tries to hide behind her perfect smile. I'm fine, Kate replies, her voice soft, but slightly shaky. She grips the teacup tightly, its warmth spreading through her cold palms. It's just... I'm thinking about the days ahead. Everything seems to be changing so fast. William sits beside her, resting a hand on her shoulder. We've been through so much already, Kate. We'll be okay. Together like always. She smiles, but the smile doesn't reach her eyes. William has always been her rock, but even he can't shield her from what's coming. The royal family, with all its outward glamour, is a labyrinth of protocols, responsibilities, and secrets hidden behind ancient walls. And now, with the Queen, the beacon who guided the family, no longer here, Kate feels as though the world is watching their every step, waiting for a misstep. The phone rings, cutting through her thoughts. William frowns, standing to pick it up from the table. It's from the palace, he says, his voice lowering. Kate's heart skips a beat. Calls from the palace rarely bring good news. William listens, nodding a few times, then hangs up with an unreadable expression. He turns to Kate, his eyes glinting with a trace of seriousness. It's an invitation from Balmoral, a family conference. They say it's for the future of the throne. A chill runs down Kate's spine. Balmoral, the place the Queen loved, where she sought quiet amidst life's storms. She looks at William, trying to keep her voice steady. When do we leave this weekend? He replies, taking her hand. Kate, whatever happens, we'll face it together. Okay, she nods, but deep inside she knows this conference will be more than a family meeting. Far beyond the window, the rain continues to fall, as if whispering secrets only time can reveal. Balmoral Castle stands resolute in the Dee Valley, surrounded by endless pine forests and misty hills. Its gray stone walls, cloaked in the moss of time, seem to recount stories of centuries, joys, sorrows, and secrets known only to the royals. Kate steps out of the Range Rover, her breath mingling with the crisp Highland air. She pulls her wool coat tighter, feeling the weight of the place. Balmoral was not just the Queen's favorite retreat. It was where she sought truth amid carefully veiled lies. William walks beside her carrying a small suitcase, his eyes scanning the garden before the castle where rose bushes still bloom despite the autumn chill. "This place never changes," he says, his voice low, as if speaking to himself. Kate nods, but she knows that while the scenery remains, the people and what they carry with them have shifted. Inside the castle, the air is warmer, but a chill of tension creeps through the long corridors. Persian rugs, royal portraits on the walls, and the faint scent of aged wood all evoke the Queen. Kate can almost picture her with her gentle yet resolute smile walking slowly through the great room where the family now gathers. But she is gone, and those left behind must chart their own course. The royal family has assembled in the main drawing room, where a fire crackles in the hearth, casting a golden glow on faces striving to appear cordial. Charles now. King Charles III sits in a large armchair, his hands clasped tightly, his gaze lost somewhere between past and present. Camilla, in a deep blue silk dress, stands near him, her polite smile unable to mask the wariness in her eyes. Princess Anne, with her usual stoic demeanor, speaks quietly with her brother Edward. Others, Sophie grandchildren and more distant members, fill the room with polite greetings, but no one mentions the true reason for this gathering. Kate feels Camilla's gaze from across the room, sharp as a thin blade. She tries to keep her expression neutral, but her palms tighten, clutching a secret she hasn't dared share, not even with William. That morning, while packing, an elderly castle servant, Margaret, who served the Queen for decades, quietly handed her a letter. "This is Her Majesty's final wish," Margaret whispered, her clouded eyes glinting with urgency. "Only you must read it, Your Highness." Kate tucked the letter into her coat pocket, her heart pounding, and since then, it has weighed on her like a stone. Kate wants something to drink. William places a hand on her back, pulling her from her thoughts. He smiles, but she notices the tension in the corners of his eyes. He feels it too, the silence before the storm. "No, I'm fine," she replies, her voice quiet but firm. She glances at Camilla, who is speaking with Charles, but her eyes seem to linger on Kate, as if piercing through the secret she holds. A wave of unease rises within her. Does she know something, or am I imagining it? The evening unfolds with a light dinner, but no one truly savors the exquisite dishes laid out on the long table. Small talk about the weather and old Balmoral memories serves as a veneer for the calculations simmering beneath. Kate tries to blend in, smiling at Sophie's questions about the children, but her mind keeps returning to the letter in her pocket. She hasn't dared open. It hasn't dared face what the Queen might have written. But each time Camilla's gaze meets hers, the urge to read it grows stronger. Camilla stands at the head of the table, her hands clasped, her eyes sweeping over the group like a general surveying troops. "I know we're all grappling with loss," she begins, her voice low but compelling. "The Queen was the heart of the monarchy, and her passing leaves a void nothing can fill. But she left us with a mission." She pauses, her gaze briefly locking with Kate's, just long enough to send a shiver down her spine. "She trusted me, gave me this role not only to support Charles, but to guide the family through the challenges ahead." A chill runs through Kate. Trusted. The word echoes in her mind, sharp as a challenge. She glances at William, hoping he senses the oddity in Camilla's words, but he sits quietly, his brows slightly furrowed, as if weighing each syllable. Anne, ever direct, speaks up. "Camilla, no one doubts your dedication, but the future of the monarchy doesn't rest in one person's hands." Her voice is firm but not confrontational, more a reminder than an argument. Camilla smiles, but the smile doesn't reach her eyes. "Of course, Anne, I don't intend to bear it alone. But we need unity, and I believe that's what the Queen wanted." She turns to Charles, who nods faintly, though his eyes remain distant, as if he's somewhere beyond the room's reach. Kate stays silent, but a storm brews within her. Camilla's words, though, cloaked in courtesy, carry a clear message. She is asserting her place not just as Queen Consort, but as the family's leader. What unsettles Kate most is the feeling that Camilla is deliberately drawing attention to her, as if she knows or suspects the secret Kate holds. As the meeting ends, people leave the room, polite pleasantries resuming like a mask. Kate walks beside William, her heart heavy. She's trying to control everything she whispers, her voice trembling. I don't know why, but I feel like she's targeting me. William stops, pulling her into a shadowed corner of the corridor, out of the chandelier's glow. Kate, listen, he says, his voice low but steady. Camilla might be trying to solidify her role, but she's not the enemy. We need to stay calm. Observe. If something's worrying you, tell me. Don't carry it alone. Kate looks into his eyes, longing to spill everything about the letter. Margaret's whisper, the sense that she's holding a bomb that could destroy everything. But once again, she holds back. I'll tell you, she promises, though. Both know it's a gentle lie. Back in their room, Kate stands before her coat, her hand trembling as it brushes the letter. It's not just a piece of paper, it's the Queen's legacy, an invisible crown she's not sure she's strong enough to wear. And somewhere in Balmoral's dark corridors, she senses Camilla's gaze like a shadow waiting for her to reveal her secret. The night at Balmoral stretches endlessly, with cold winds whistling through the pine forest, carrying whispers of the past. Kate sits alone in the small bedroom, the lamplight casting shadows across her tense features. Before her, on the old wooden table, lies the Queen's letter, a fragile piece of paper, heavy with the weight of a monarchy. She's touched it dozens of times, her fingers grazing the royal seal, but each time fear of the truth within makes her pull back as if it might burn her. She closes her eyes, letting memories guide her. The early days in the royal family come alive, the Queen's stern yet warm gaze, her quiet encouragement during tea at Buckingham. You have strength, Catherine, she once said alone with her in the palace gardens. Not the strength of power, but of the heart. Never forget that. Those words now feel like a small flame, urging her past her fear. Kate takes a deep breath, her trembling hands opening the letter. The rustle of paper echoes in the quiet room like a final warning. Inside is the Queen's elegant, slightly slanted handwriting lines, carrying both legacy and burden. Dear Catherine, when you read these words, I will no longer be here to guide the family, but I trust you not only as a member of the royal family, but as the true future of the throne. You have compassion, resilience, and the vision the monarchy needs to survive in a changing world. But I must warn you, Camilla, though devoted, is not someone I fully trust. She has ambitions, and ambition can sometimes obscure the truth. Be cautious and protect what I have built. With all my love, Elizabeth R. Kate's breath catches. The Queen's words are not just instructions. They're a declaration of war, a responsibility she never sought. She stares at the final line, her heart in turmoil. The true future of the throne. Sacrifice. Does she have the strength to bear this burden? And if she reveals the truth about Camilla, what will happen to the family, to the monarchy? The door creaks open, pulling Kate from her thoughts. William steps in his dark green sweater, making him seem more approachable amid Balmoral's grandeur. He frowns, seeing her with the open letter on the table. Kate, he says, his voice low and worried. You're still awake. What's wrong? She looks up, their eyes meeting, and for the first time in days, the wall between them crumbles. She can't keep this secret alone, not from William, her anchor through the royal storms. Will she, whispers, her voice trembling. I need you to read this. She slides the letter toward him, her fingers still shaking as they touch the edge. William sits beside her, his eyes scanning the royal seal before reading. He reads slowly, his brows tightening. When he reaches the part about Camilla, a shadow crosses his face, but he says nothing, continuing until the final line. Silence envelops the room, heavy as the air before a storm. Finally, William sets the letter down and looks at Kate. My God, Kate, he says, his voice hoarse. Grandma? She's put the whole world on your shoulders. Kate bites her lip, tears welling up. I don't know what to do, Will. If I speak out, everything will fall apart. Camilla, she'll never forgive me, and the family, the monarchy, will be torn apart. But if I stay silent, I'll betray what the Queen wanted. William takes her hand, squeezing it tightly, his warmth a reminder she's not alone. Kate, listen, he says, his eyes steady but full of empathy. Grandma didn't choose you just because you're her granddaughter-in-law. She chose you because she knew you're strong enough to do what's right, no matter how hard. This letter, it's not just a secret. It's the truth, and the truth can't stay buried forever. She shakes her head, her voice choked. But if I speak out, it'll destroy everything. Camilla, Charles, the whole family, they'll never look at me the same. Maybe William admits, his voice low, but unwavering. But do you think Grandma wanted you to live a lie? She believed in you, Kate, and so do I. If you keep this secret, it'll eat away at you day by day. You deserve better, and so does the monarchy. Kate looks at him, her heart torn between fear and the courage he's igniting. She knows he's right, but the thought of facing Camilla, the entire family at the upcoming conference, makes her shudder. I'm scared, Will, she whispers, her voice nearly breaking. I'm scared I'm not strong enough. William pulls her into his arms, holding her tightly as if to transfer his strength to her. You don't have to be strong alone, he says, his voice warm but resolute. I'm here, Kate. We'll face this together. But you have to speak out, not just for Grandma, but for yourself, for the future you believe in. She buries her face in his shoulder, letting silent tears fall. In his embrace, she feels a faint spark of hope, but she knows the road ahead will be thorny. The Queen's letter, now shared, is no longer her secret alone. It's a flame that could light the future or burn everything to ashes. As they part, Kate wipes her tears, her eyes growing resolute. Thank you, she says, her voice quiet but firm. I'll do it. The grand room at Balmoral, with its dark, wood-paneled walls and soaring ceiling, seems to shrink as the royal family gathers. The chandelier's light glints off tense faces, reflecting suppressed emotions, doubt, anxiety, and defiance. Kate sits beside William, her hands gripping the chair's edge, the Queen's letter hidden in her coat pocket, like a ticking time bomb. Last night in William's arms, she found a sliver of courage, but now with the family's eyes on her, her heart pounds as if it might break free. Camilla stands, her hands clasped, her voice low and commanding. Thank you all for being here. She begins, her gaze sweeping the room. Today we gather not just as a family, but as guardians of the Queen's legacy. She left us a strong monarchy, and I believe that with unity, we will continue to make her proud. She pauses, her eyes briefly meeting Kate's, just long enough to send a shiver down her spine. I know my role isn't easy, Camilla continues, her voice soft but sharp. But the Queen trusted me, gave me the responsibility to guide the family through tough times. I promise not to let her down. Camilla's words ring like a proclamation, but to Kate they're a challenge. Her breath grows heavy, the Queen's letter burning in her mind. Camilla, not someone I fully trust. She glances at William, seeking reassurance, and he nods slightly, his eyes steady, reminding her of last night's promise. Charles nods, his voice low but lacking vitality. Camilla's right. We need unity. But I want to hear from everyone. This is the time to shape the future. A few voices chime in and suggest bolstering charitable efforts. Edward mentions improving public image, but Kate barely hears them. Her mind is caught in a whirlwind, the letter's truth, Camilla's gaze, and the responsibility the Queen placed on her. She knows if she doesn't act now, she'll never forgive herself. She takes a deep breath, standing, her hands trembling, but her voice clear, resonating in the silent room. I have something to share, she says, her eyes sweeping over each person, finally resting on Camilla. Something I believe the Queen wanted us all to know. The room falls silent, as if the air has been sucked out. Camilla's brow furrows, her smile stiffening. Charles looks at Kate, a hint of surprise in his eyes. William squeezes her hand under the table, lending her strength. Kate pulls the letter from her pocket, the royal seal gleaming under the lights. This is the Queen's final letter, she says, her voice shaky but unwavering. She gave it to me with instructions to protect the truth. She opens the letter, reading aloud, each line her voice a proclamation, each word slicing through the family's facade. When she reaches the part about Camilla, though devoted, is not someone I fully trust. She has ambitions, and ambition can sometimes obscure the truth. A gasp echoes from somewhere in the room. Camilla stands frozen, her face pale, but her eyes never leave Kate, icy as frost. Kate pauses, takes a breath, then looks directly at Camilla. The Queen wrote that we must protect what she built, and I believe to do that we must be honest. She stops, her heart pounding, but the courage William stirred in her last night now blazes. Everything we thought about your role, Camilla, everything you believed the Queen promised, it was all a lie. The words, "it was all a lie," crash into the room like a boulder, shattering the silence. Charles leaps up, his voice trembling. "Catherine, what are you saying? This isn't the time to." But Camilla raises a hand, silencing him. She steps forward, her eyes locked on Kate, and for the first time, Kate sees a flicker of hurt cross her face, quickly masked by pride. "You dare," Camilla says, her voice low but sharp as a blade. "You dare stand here in this room and call me a liar?" Kate doesn't back down, though her legs tremble. "I'm not saying you're a liar, Camilla. I'm saying what the Queen wrote, and I believe she wanted us to know the truth, no matter how painful." Anne's silent until now finally speaks. Enough, she says, her voice firm but not hostile. "Catherine, if what you say is true, this letter needs careful consideration. But Camilla, you need to explain. If the Queen didn't fully trust you, we need to know why." The room descends into a quiet chaos. Edward whispers to Sophie. Charles rubs his forehead, and Camilla stands there, her hands clenched, as if restraining a storm within. Kate sits, her strength drained, but William's hand remains on hers, his eyes full of pride. Camilla feels every gaze in the room like needles piercing her skin. Whispers begin to spread, soft but cutting like small waves building into a storm. She wants to scream, to slam her hand on the table and demand silence, but she knows any sign of weakness now would be her undoing. So she stands tall, her chin high, her polite smile glued to her lips, though it's a fragile mask hiding the tempest within. In that moment, memories flood back, sharp and merciless. Camilla recalls her early days with Charles, when she was merely a shadow in his love story with Diana, the woman the world adored, whom she could never match. She remembers the years of public scorn headlines branding her a homewrecker, a despicable woman. She endured it all, gritting her teeth through insults and disdainful glances to carve out a place in the royal family. She sacrificed, worked tirelessly, learned to smile at enemies and hide her pain behind expensive silk dresses. And now, when she thought she'd earned respect, become queen consort, a younger, more beloved woman, Catherine stands holding the Queen's letter and shatters it all with a few words. "Not someone I fully trust." The Queen's words read aloud by Kate before the family strike Camilla's pride like a hammer. She believed the Queen, though stern, had accepted her, entrusted her with a vital role. But it was all an illusion. The Queen never truly trusted her. And Kate, with her perfect smile and flawless public image, was chosen as the true future of the throne. Bitterness surges in Camilla's heart, bitter as poison. Why is it always me, she wonders. Why, after all these years, am I still the substitute, the distrusted, the outcast? She scans the room, trying to read each face. Charles, the husband she's devoted her life to loving and protecting, looks down his hands, rubbing his forehead as if escaping the truth. She wants to shout at him, to ask why he doesn't defend her, but his lost expression stops her. Anne, ever stoic, looks at her with a mix of doubt and pity, a combination that makes Camilla feel stripped bare. Edward and Sophie whisper, their eyes averted, as if she's become a stranger. And Kate, who dropped this bombshell, sits there, her hands clasped with William's, her gaze steady but unable to hide a tremor. Camilla wants to speak, to refute, to force Kate to retract those words, but her throat feels constricted. Each whisper, each glance makes her struggle to breathe, as if Balmoral's walls are closing in. But she can't collapse, not here, not in front of them. She takes a deep breath, forcing herself to stand firm, and when she speaks, her voice carries authority, though inside she's breaking. "Catherine," she says, her voice low but sharp as a blade. "You think a letter, even from the Queen, can erase what I've done for this family, for this monarchy? You're too young to understand the sacrifices I've made." Kate opens her mouth to respond, but Camilla raises a hand, her eyes locked on Kate. "This conference is about building the future, not digging up the past. If you want to challenge me, do it with respect, not accusations." "Enough," Princess Anne says, rising from her chair. Her presence, with her silver hair neatly pinned and piercing eyes, commands an effortless authority. Anne has never been one for drama, but when she speaks, the room listens. "We can't keep circling like this. If Catherine's letter is real, it's not just about her and Camilla. It's about the whole family, the whole monarchy." Camilla's brow furrows, her hands tightening on the table, but she doesn't interrupt. Kate's heart races, her eyes meeting Anne's, searching for a sign. Is she an ally or a judge? William squeezes her hand under the table, a reminder they're facing this together. Anne takes a deep breath, her gaze sweeping over each person, finally resting on Kate. "I'm not one for airing private matters," she begins, her voice low but weighty. "But today I think we need honesty more than ever. Before my mother, the Queen, passed, she spoke to me. A private conversation, just the two of us at Sandringham a few weeks before she was gone. The room falls silent, as if the air has been drained. Even Camilla, who moments ago stood resolute, trembles slightly, her eyes fixed on Anne. Charles looks up, a flicker of surprise in his eyes, as if he hadn't expected this. Kate feels a chill down her spine but can't look away from Anne. She spoke of the monarchy's future. Anne continues, her voice steady but laced with rare sincerity. She knew her time was short, and she was worried not just about the public, the media, but about this family. She told me the monarchy needs a steadfast anchor, someone not only loved, but capable of uniting us all, even in the toughest times. She pauses, her eyes shifting to Kate, and for a moment Kate feels the world narrow to just the two of them. "My mother said Kate is that anchor, Anne. She has the heart, the strength, and the vision to lead the monarchy through this century." Anne's words hit the room like a massive stone, shattering the silence. Kate's breath catches tears threatening to spill. The Queen's words, echoed by Anne, not only confirm the letter, but place a heavier burden on her shoulders than she ever imagined. William grips her hand tightly, his eyes full of pride, but also concern. Camilla, for the first time, seems to lose her composure. Her face pales, her lips pressed tight, as if holding back a storm. "Anne," she says, her voice trembling but clinging to pride. "Are you implying the Queen didn't trust me? That she chose Catherine over me?" Anne turns to Camilla, her gaze neither hostile nor yielding. "I'm not implying, Camilla. I'm saying what my mother said. She cared for you, respected your dedication, but she also knew the monarchy needs a new generation, someone who can connect with the public with today's world. And she believed that person is Kate." The room sinks into a deadly stillness. The earlier whispers have stopped, as if everyone is grappling with the truth laid bare. Charles looks from Anne to Camilla, his eyes lost like a man caught between two fires. Edward and Sophie exchange glances, while Kate, though wanting to speak, can only sit, feeling the weight of Anne's words. "So that's it," Camilla finally says, her voice low, almost a whisper, but laced with undeniable bitterness. "After everything I've done, all the years of enduring, I'm still not good enough in her eyes." She gives a small, bitter laugh, then looks at Kate. "But you, Catherine, do you really think you can wear the crown without it crushing you?" Kate takes a breath, about to respond, but Anne raises a hand, silencing them both. "Enough," she says, her voice firm. "This conference isn't for tearing each other apart. My mother wanted unity, not division. Catherine did what she believed was right by sharing the letter. Camilla, you have every right to be hurt, but you must face the truth. And all of us must find a way forward." Anne's words are like a velvet curtain drawn back, exposing raw truth, but offering a path. Kate looks at her, gratitude mixed with fear. She knows Anne, with her toughness and honesty, has sided with her, but the cost of this truth is a fracture in the family that can't be mended. The conference ends in silence, each person leaving with a different mood. Camilla walks away, her posture still proud, but her shoulders slightly hunched, as if the truth's weight presses on her. Kate holds William's hand, her eyes on Anne, who gathers papers with calm composure. Camilla stands a few yards away beside Charles in a dark green dress, her posture still regal. But Kate notices a subtle change. Her shoulders are slightly slumped, her eyes distant, as if she's alone in a crowd. The conference wounded Camilla deeply, not just because of the Queen's letter, but because it revealed that despite years of effort, she remains an outsider. Camilla senses Kate's gaze but doesn't turn. She stands there clutching her handbag, her polite smile fixed, as she bids farewell to Edward and Sophie. But inside, a storm rages. Anne's words that Kate is the monarchy's anchor were a final blow, slicing through the pride she built over years. She recalls the days of public condemnation, the lonely nights when Charles was still haunted by Diana, and the times she gritted her teeth through insults. She thought the title of Queen Consort meant she'd finally been accepted. But now she wonders, was it all worth it? Do I truly belong here? As she climbs into the car, Camilla sits silently beside Charles. her eyes fixed on the window where Balmoral's hills fade into the distance. Charles, weary, places a hand on hers, but the gesture lacks the warmth she craves. "We'll get through this, Camilla," he says, his voice hoarse. "The family always finds a way." She nods but says nothing. Deep down, she knows the family Charles speaks of is no longer whole. Camilla sits quietly, her gaze locked on the horizon. She wonders with an unspoken pain, do I still have a place in this story, or am I just a brief chapter ready to be eclipsed by Kate's radiance? That question, like a shadow, will follow her from Balmoral to the long days ahead. Don't miss more thrilling royal stories. Hit like, share, and subscribe.